want to just pop on here and tell you a little bit more about my experience with outsourcing. When you should outsource, what you should outsource, how you should outsource. They say that if you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. And I agree. Hiring seems to be like a really important thing to build your business. It seems like an obvious choice. If you want to become more profitable, you need to outsource certain things. You can't do everything yourself. But when should you hire people? When should you outsource to a VA? When should you outsource to a contractor, to another company? And for what? That's what I'm going to talk about today. If you're just joining me, I am Pia Silva. I am the founder of No BS Agencies. I help small agencies become profitable without growing bigger and bigger and without hiring employees. It begs the question, am I teaching people how to build a profitable agency without any help? Definitely not. I'm just helping you build an agency that is profitable without necessarily needing a 5 or 10 person in-house team where your overhead is super, super high. We want to be nimble, we want to be flexible, and we want to be really profitable. So today I want to share some strategies that I've used to free myself up so that I can spend all of my time doing only the most important tasks and only the most high value tasks that only I can do. Let's start by talking about 3 mistakes. Actually, more than 3. There are so many mistakes that people make when it comes to outsourcing or hiring people. First one is I find a lot of people, they go straight to, I'll get an intern. That's the solution to my problem. I'm really overworked, and so I'll bring in an intern. If you've ever brought an intern in, you probably thought that would be free or very, very cheap labor. It's like a really easy way to get someone else to do all of this work that you are overloaded with. Well, huge mistake. And I'll say that not only is it, I think, immoral to bring an intern in just to do your grunt work without actually having something to teach them, because that's why interns look for internships, right? They want to learn as much as you want to mentor somebody. But also, if you're really doing a good job with interns, you are teaching them, and that's going to take a lot more work on your part. So yes, interns can support you, but they also require you to teach them, right? Interns don't know how to do things. So if you bring an intern in, it means that you are going to have to spend time teaching them things that they may not know anything about. Second mistake I see people make when outsourcing is they go, oh, I just got to get a self-starter. Comment below if you have ever hired someone and you were like, I just need a self-starter. Now, why do we say that? I've done this. That's why I know. That's why I see you. I always said, oh, I need a self-starter because this person can solve my problems for me. Solve problems that I don't know how to solve. I'll just hire somebody and they can solve the problem. Huge mistake. The result is that you don't get results from them because you're hiring, let's say, a virtual assistant to solve problems that you haven't solved yourself. You are the business owner, the expert, and the leader in this business. And the idea that you are going to hire somebody at a very low rate to solve some of your biggest challenges is laughable. That's why you end up hiring people and then you're frustrated with the work that they do because you're expecting them to do too much without having given them the roadmap on how to do it. Third mistake I see people make is they think, oh, it's them. People suck. It's so hard to hire people because people are such bad workers. People are lazy. People don't show up. I've had that experience too because I've hired a lot of people where I've been very frustrated with the work that they've done, or I really was annoyed by how they showed up, right? They were late, or they seemed like they just couldn't wait to get to lunch, or they just weren't putting the energy and the enthusiasm that I put into my work. They weren't putting it into their work, or they weren't responding to my emails in the right way, or I could go on and on about the things that I've seen people do that I think, isn't that common sense that this is how you show up at a job and this is how you perform? And the answer is it's not. If you blame the people that you hire for not doing a great job, you're putting yourself in a position where people will never do a good job for you, because honestly, the responsibility of somebody that you hire to do a good job first and foremost falls on you. You are responsible for outlining and training anybody that you hire, whether they are seasoned in this space or not, showing them exactly how you want things done. Not only showing them once, but giving them the tools so that they can get better at it, checking in on them, making sure that their questions are answered. If you think people suck and that's why you don't want to hire people, or it's really hard to find good help, you're not taking responsibility and you're actually setting yourself up for failure. 4, big mistake people make when outsourcing, they have a really hard time outsourcing because they think that they're the only ones that can do everything. everything right. If you feel like nobody can do this as well as I can, you're going to have a really hard time letting go of the work that you need to outsource. And that will set you up for failure. 5, I would say, is just hanging on. Oh, and this is so me too. Hanging on to the need for everything to be perfect and exactly the way that you want it to be. If you are stuck on perfectionism, it's going to be incredibly difficult to outsource the work that you need to outsource in order to grow your business because you are so attached to things being a certain way. So those are all the mistakes that people make. Now let's talk about what you can do to outsource and how and what you should outsource. I think the first thing is when you're starting to think about hiring a VA, hiring support, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you get into an outsourcing mindset. An outsourcing mindset to me is realizing that when you're going to bring on a VA or you're going to outsource tasks, it's going to be more work up front. It just is. So do not hire somebody when you are so overwhelmed with work that you're just looking to pass it off to somebody and it's like, you figure it out. You are going to be in for a world of hurt if you aren't ready to first invest a little bit of time up front to really show the person that you're hiring exactly how you want things done and exactly the process you want them done in. Get into that outsourcing mindset, get into a mindset of taking full responsibility for the success of the person that you've brought on and that you're going to be responsible for showing them for at least a few weeks, if not a few months, exactly how you want things done. If you want this relationship to be successful, that is what it takes in the beginning. But the payoff is so good. So stick with me. Next, I think the best way to prepare for outsourcing is to just keep a running list of all of the activities that you are doing. Every single day, every big and small, every task that you're doing. Just keep a running list because the next thing I want you to do is start writing out process. Once you start to see all the things that are actually taking up your time, you can then start to put together a process document. The way I do process documents for my VAs is I record Loom videos of just showing them exactly how I am doing some tasks. Some of these tasks take 30 seconds to record. Some of them take 5 minutes, 10 minutes because they're more involved, but some of them are just the smallest little things. They're the kind of things that for a very long time, I thought, this is just easier for me to do myself. But I want you to remember that even if you're outsourcing a 1-minute task, not only does 1 minute add up over the course of a year, but every time you have to do this 1-minute task, it's taking you away from the things that are actually going to move the needle in your business. So when you have a series of tiny tasks that you have to do every day, not only does that take up a chunk of your time, but it takes up a lot of your mind space and your energy. We want to get rid of these things so we can focus exclusively on the work that is high value, the work that only we can do. That's why we want to start writing out processes for every little task, big task, little task, everything you can do. I will say in my experience, marketing tasks and administrative tasks are the easiest things to outsource and the best things to outsource at first. So until you have outsourced all of the marketing and all of the administrative tasks, well, once you're doing marketing, that goes on forever. So that is what I would focus on at first. Now, if it's your first time into the VA world, I would start by hiring someone on an hourly basis. Plan for a training period, plan to put these process documents together, plan to take full responsibility for training this person, checking up on this person, communicating not just what you want them to do, but actually setting out some ground rules in the beginning of creating expectations. For example, my expectation, and I said this very clearly to everyone that I hire, is that when I send them an email of a task or something that I want them to do, once they read it, they email me back and say, got it. I want to get confirmation that my messages are going through. So that's just like one example. In the past, I would have thought that that was common sense, that you email somebody back, but that's not common sense. There is no common sense. Some people don't do that. That's not a habit of theirs. So instead of expecting things to be obvious, we just communicate them. I would also start by writing out a list of things of how you would like to be communicated with and what is important to you, when things are urgent or important and when things aren't. Start to get to know yourself a little bit about what would make you feel really good and positive about the relationship that you have with this person that is going to be supporting you in your business, which is not a small position to take. And I would also say, remember, especially if this is your first time, that this is going to be hard to do. It's going to be hard to let go of control of things that you're doing. It's going to be hard to stop when you are doing a task that you kind of know you could outsource to somebody else and take more time than it would be to just do the task. I just still feel like this all the time, right? I'm doing a task and I'm going, this is something that somebody else could be doing. Am I going to spend 4 times as long, right? I'm going to spend 10 minutes on this instead of 30 seconds to create a little process and share it with my VA so that I never have to do this again? The answer is yes. Always take that time now because it will free you up forever after. Plus, it's just a really good habit to start. Another thing I'll say is that at first I had a hard time with this because I didn't have a clear process of what I was doing. But once I systematized my business, and this is really beneficial if you're in any programs, if you're watching this and you're in my program, this is a great reason to follow programs, is that they have a step-by-step process. And there's a lot of things in that step-by-step process that you want to follow and possibly parts of it that you can outsource. So for example, in my No BS program, I teach a method of reaching out to potential clients and how to nurture them into a sale. These are all things that you have to figure out at first, but then you can absolutely train somebody else to do part or all of. Remember that having some sort of clear, specific process to follow will make outsourcing much, much easier. Once you have done the first level of outsourcing to an hourly VA, and I ran my business like that for years, it's actually how I managed to go from working more than 40 hours a week to no more than 25 hours a week. Part of that was really due to outsourcing, because when I only work 25 hours a week, that's a very limited amount of time for the things that I'm doing and the things that are important to pushing my business forward. My business grows a lot faster now than it did when I was working more, but that's because those 25 hours are used only for the most high value tasks that can be done. Anything that somebody else can do, like nobody else can do this, right? Nobody else can be me on video. So this is something that I have to do, but I can only have the time to do something like this when I have a support system that's doing all the other things that I absolutely don't have to do. Okay, once you have really outsourced as many things as you possibly can to an hourly VA, and you have a system in place with your business, you understand how your business works, and you are starting to ramp up your marketing, because that's what happens. Once you get a profitable business model in place, that's when you start to invest time and energy into ramping up your marketing, because your marketing is your authority building, and this is how you can continually increase your prices and your profitability and keep increasing the amount of free time you have. It's a beautiful thing. When you are ramping up your marketing, marketing is the perfect place to be outsourcing all over the place. There are so many parts of marketing that can be outsourced to a VA. And this is what I want to share with you that I did once I was very clear on how my marketing would be ramping up. I hired another full-time VA, and I hired them before I had full-time work. I actually probably didn't even have 20 hours of work for her when I hired her, but I did it because I knew what I was about to do. And I said, I'm going to already start paying you for 40 hours of work to force myself to find 40 hours of work for you. And this is only effective if you are doing marketing actively, because marketing is endless. There are endless things that you can do with marketing. You will fill up somebody's time very, very quickly if you have dedicated time set aside to marketing. So if you are in the phase where you have a clear system for closing clients, like in my No BS program, I teach you the exact system of how to close somebody on a phone call in 15 minutes, how to take them through a process, the lead product process, where you can upsell them into something much higher priced. All of a sudden, your time is so much more valuable when you have this system and you know exactly what you need to do. Okay, now that I have this system and I understand how a conversation turns into a $20,000 client, well, now I need to put a lot of my energy into connecting with people and marketing and meeting new people. Therefore, I want to have a support system that I can fill up their time with activities so that I can reach more people and build my authority. That is, I think, one of the biggest strategies that it's like a step 2 strategy, because you have to go through the first step where you are working with a VA at an hourly rate for a while. But when you get to that step 2 and you can hire a full-time VA and fill their time with activities and have somebody who has enough space in their schedule to actually take on your ideas and support you in doing bigger and bigger marketing ideas, that's when you're really humming in business. And that's when you can actually exponentially increase your pricing and your profitability. And it's a beautiful thing. That first part, that's like the hardest part. Getting that system in place, offloading and outsourcing those first pieces of your administrative stuff, getting in the habit of training someone, letting go of your need for it to be 100% exactly the way you wanted, and feeling okay and comfortable with the fact that you might outsource something something, and somebody might do a good job and it still might not be exactly the way you want it to be. And that's okay. In fact, being able to let go of that control is how you're going to be able to spend your time doing the most important high value activities for your business. And the only way you're going to take your business from here to here is if you are doing high value work. The only way you're going to be able to make more and more profit with your clients is if your time is spent doing high value work. If you're wasting your time doing low value work that somebody else could do for $5, $10, $15 an hour, you are never going to push that boulder up to the next level. I share our exact business model, the exact model that we follow and we teach in our No BS Agencies programs. Thanks again for watching. I'm Pia Silva, and I will see you next time.